Welcome back, everyone. It is now August 29th of 2023, and given that D23 is just around the corner and is the destination, the event that Disney is focusing on releasing the official Snow White trailer that features Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot to show it to the world, and so for all we can see exactly how it's going to be executed in motion, and of course how it's going to be working by Mark Webb, the director. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on with this Snow White live-action remake that has been getting so much criticism ever since those leaked photographs debuted weeks ago, showcasing the 7 dwarfs, or as Disney calls them, the magical creatures. Now, we know that this film has and will always go through a lot of trouble. It's just pretty much inevitable at this point. Disney can't shake off the backlash no matter what they do, no matter what kind of re-edits that they actually pursue, or whatever they plan to do with the trailer that is set to debut in just a couple of weeks from now. This really is something that they cannot escape. And to make matters worse, as it turns out, Rachel Zegler played a very large role in exactly what Snow White turned out to be. Let's discuss specifically about what happened between her, director Mark Webb, and yes, even the Disney higher-ups. Now, we already know that this film has been a mess right when they began shooting back in March of 2022, that eventually wrapped in July of that year. So it's been pretty much in post for well over a year at this point, and with Snow White 24 going through the endless issues from Disney and director Mark Webb, one major development has much to do with actress Rachel Zegler and some bombshell news surrounding the film and director Mark Webb. Now, as it turns out, Zegler contributed to some story elements of the film's plot that was passed up from director Mark Webb to the Disney higher-ups. This was well before the drama was happening between Webb and Zegler. Rachel's ideas and concepts actually turned up in the film, such as moments in which Zegler felt that the apple scene had to be completely changed and driven away from the source material. This was provided by Zegler to Mark Webb, who supported this idea by Rachel later during filming, and approved by Disney to drastically water down this scene to make it more friendly to younger audiences. Zegler felt that the apple biting scene that they had filmed was too horrific for young moviegoers, and that instead, Snow White only gets weakened by touching the apple. Disney higher-ups were very actually supportive over Rachel's idea and agreed with her about all of this, and it's exactly what contributed to this particular scene being very different than the 1937 original film by Disney. Additionally, Zegler also contributed to a sequence getting made in which she insisted to director Mark Webb to exclude a specific sequence of a kissing scene that she did with Andrew Burnap as Jonathan. Zegler felt that the scene was too drawn out and that the kissing went on for too long. This scene was later scrapped by Mark Webb per Rachel's request. Now guys, let me stop here for 1 second before I get to the last major piece of this development, which I think is the icing on the cake. But before we get to that, it just goes to show you that Rachel does have some kind of problem with romance in a Disney movie. You know, this is why you're not going to get your typical scenes between the prince and Snow White. In fact, Jonathan is not even referred to as a prince in this film. He's just called John many times, literally, John, and sometimes referred to as Jonathan. And he does sing in the film, which is reportedly very cringeworthy, and I think it's going to make the movie pretty much, you know, even all the more unattractive among many audience members. But what's even all the more revealing about this is the fact that Rachel Zegler felt that the apple scene, where she bites into it and gets poisoned, was way too violent for younger audiences. And the fact that she opened a can of worms and brought this up to the Disney higher-ups, and they literally agreed with her, like on the spot, right away, through director Mark Webb serving as the link between those two, they actually approved that scene getting cut and watering it down to a sequence in which she only touches the apple and gets fatigued. And that's it. That's basically the modern take on the apple scene, which I think is horrible. It's just flat out pathetic, and it just goes to show you how PC Disney has become. Now, the fact that they are bowing down to Rachel and her requests, this is nothing new than what Phoebe Waller-Bridge did with Indiana Jones 5 and her contributions to the script and the story, nor is it any different to Brie Larson, you know, demanding specific scenes to be done in a certain way per request by the creators of Captain Marvel and producer Kevin Feige. Same exact thing happened there. This is why I always call these three actresses very much alike, because they somehow have power or have a say in the matter over the plot. You know, I don't think it's more so that they have power, but I think it's more or less of the fact that Disney, and especially the directors and or the writers, just bow down to them, and they do whatever they request. So, moving onwards, this is the icing on the cake. Are you guys ready? Because we're not done yet. So, on top of this, Zegler felt that the scene, like I said before, was too drawn out between herself and Andrew Burnap. Zegler also insisted to Mark Webb to water down the amount of scenes that she had filmed with Andrew Burnap, saving Snow White as Jonathan saving her. Zegler was not too fond of this concept, as she wanted the film to focus strictly on her independence. At no surprise, Mark Webb fell to Rachel's requests and moved forward with excluding those said scenes in which Jonathan both saves her from the huntsman and a pack of wolves in the forest. In replacement of those are more independent scenes in which Snow White faces the huntsman and actually turns the dagger on him, and also takes on the wolves. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this sounds ridiculous as well. Do you guys really recall something like this in the 37 original? I don't think so, right? So, the fact that Mark Webb bowed down to Rachel and really just took up her requests and brought it up to Disney, and Disney approved them all. They were very much, supportive over these different ideas that were thrown into the mix. It goes to show you that Mark Webb is somebody that is a doormat and just somebody that does not care about his own creation or his own work. So here's the problem with this too, is the fact that Snow White 2024, Rachel Zegler played a very large role in the source material getting drastically diminished and or altered. And it's not a surprise. I mean, this is very similar to what a lot of actresses said before in the past. You know, we talked about Brie, Amber Heard, as well as Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and the list goes on. There's quite a number of them out there. So, the fact that Snow White is really doing what it's doing with the story of Jonathan is more than enough to shy away from this film. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what the response is going to be like once this trailer arrives. I know a lot of you guys have been responding to me below in the comments that you are all so eager to see this thing. Now, like I said, they are still embracing for the trailer to drop around September 9th to the 10th, so mark your calendars. Some of the board members, though, want to delay this trailer, and they want to push it toward the holiday season. And I think that may very well be a better idea for them, because if they get backlash way too early, it's going to create more damage, so to speak. But really, there's no way of really escaping any of this. So anyway, guys, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.